How will the veterans of the ANC remember former President Jacob Zuma? Where will the opposition parties draw political mileage from now that Jacob Zuma is out of office? How has the ANC's recall of two heads of state in a space of 10 years impacted its credibility? Is Cyril Ramaphosa showing signs of a leader committed to rooting out state capture and corruption already? What time is it? It's question time. Khotsong mraro kurula. My name is Msholozi. Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa is the new president of the country after he was elected unopposed in the National Assembly today. This follows the resignation of former President Jacob Zuma. Ramaphosa is expected to deliver the long-awaited State of the Nation address tomorrow. While the stage was already set for a motion of no confidence, Zuma took many by surprise by tendering his resignation just before 11 o'clock last night. Msholozi ended his rather emotional statement on a positive note, though, by pledging his commitment to continue working for the ANC and the country. Ramaphosa was sworn in as president by Chief Justice Mogoeng Mogoeng a short while ago. We are live, and therefore you can call us at your views. The number to dial 089-110-4210, internationally +27891104210. And our Twitter handle at QuestionTime24. And a reminder that you can stream us on our Facebook page, SABC News Online, and our YouTube channel, YouTube.com/SABC Digital News. My guest, Professor Piet Kroukamp, is a political scientist. And Piet, welcome to the show. What have you been observing? What are your impressions or feelings about the latest developments?
There are so many things happening in South Africa at the time. I think it's almost as if the expectations of the future is massive. We are so glad that I think there's a feeling that the nightmare is over. 9 years of the erosion and the corrosion of the state. 9 years of an increase in poverty, increase in unemployment in South Africa. 9 years of almost a devastation of the institutions of the state, the National Prosecuting Authority, the Scorpions that has been dismissed, the Hawks that was, not really functioning at the same level, protecting the state at the same time. Tulimat and Sellers has been replaced. I think there's just so much bad news over the last 9 years, and I think we're now entering a stage where we at least have high expectations. Yeah. We don't know where we're going, but we have high expectations, and I think Ramaphosa has so far shown us that he's sort of an action man. He has promised a few things, he has undertook a few things, and I think he's executed them quite well over the last 2 months since he became president of the ANC in December last year.
Would you say it is him, though? Do you give him credit for instance, let's take the Hawks, for example. All of a sudden they are working.
Now look, I don't think he has given orders to the Hawks to do what they do. But what is usually happening is when the person in charge oozes a certain disposition, has a certain way of working, you will see that the institutions tend to adapt to that person. So certainly the Hawks are starting to do their work. The National Prosecuting Authority will start to do their work. You will see that perhaps even in Parliament you will get better oversight. All the institutions of the state will start functioning in expectation of what the president's position will be on these things. And he has said that he wants to root out corruption, he wants the state institutions to function effectively, he wants the police to do their work, the Hawks to do their work, the prosecuting authority to prosecute. He has said those things, and I think these institutions now start to take their cue. That's why I think the former president will be charged soon. Not because he has phoned Shaun Abrahams, but because Shaun Abrahams knows who's in charge and what that person expects of him.
Yeah. So, let's look at the chances of cabinet being changed, probably starting any time from now.
Me and you differed about it earlier. You said maybe by Saturday. I thought it will be perfect if he can change by 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. He said, this is my new cabinet, and by 7 o'clock he can say, this is what I'm going to do with these people. I'm going to do this. That continuity in the expectation should be. And ideally, he must change. I think there's 6 or 7 or 8 names that we know that he will change in the cabinet. He has to change those names.
Who are those?
Well, I think Zwane must be up there, Des van Rooyen must be up there, Buthelezi must be up there, Matamela Dlamini certainly can't last much longer. For Fikile Mbalula, for instance, he backed the wrong horse as Secretary General. He stood up against Ace Magashule, and then he backed the wrong horse as the President of the ANC too. So certainly he can't find any favours with the President. So I think these are the names. There might be a few more, but these are the names. It's more important who comes in, and that is we'll speculate wildly about that. But I think the people that needs to go are well identified by everybody.
Okay, now you look at the absence of President or former President Jacob Zuma. Is there a loss to the opposition?
I think it might be a loss to at least the EFF, because that was their focus and their target. And you will see today that they have behaved more or less the same way towards Ramaphosa that they behaved towards Jacob Zuma. I think that might be a big mistake. I think all the opposition parties will have to realign themselves. There is absolutely no ideological difference between Mmusi Maimane and Cyril Ramaphosa. I expect that they will have a more cooperative arrangement in the future. I think that the EFF may find him a little bit more isolated than in the past, because remember, all the opposition parties had one single enemy, and that was Jacob Zuma. Now the common enemy is gone. I think the EFF must be very, very careful. They have to redefine themselves, because remember, they don't admit it, but they are a black middle class party. And the middle class people have very certain, very specific political expectations. And white monopoly capital is their primary enemy, but so is Jacob Zuma. If you take one of those out of the equation, if you take Jacob Zuma out, and in some other way, the expectations about what should happen, about redress of land, redress in the economy, then they may just find them without a constituency soon come 2019.
Cyril, welcome.
Yes.
Yep, we're listening.
Sorry.
I'm saying welcome.
Yes.
You're live.
Oh. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. I just wanted to say welcome, Cyril.
Okay.
Welcome, Cyril. And
Cyril,
thank you for
your line
being
is
on
very
time.
bad.
You said we're gonna speak to you at 5 o'clock, and it was a few minutes later. You didn't keep up another hour. We bless you. We bless you.
Cyril, I'm sorry. We can't hear you at all, Cyril. So we had to just get rid of that call. But if you are able, please do call us from a better line. We would love to hear from you. But for now, we're taking a quick break, and then when we return, we'll continue with the discussion. What are your thoughts? Give us a call, 089-110-4210. What do you think about the departure of Msholozi? And of course, what are your thoughts about the new president, Matamela Cyril Ramaphosa? 089-110-4210.
Take an in-depth look of all your stories of the day across the world. Stay tuned to Primetime News every day from 18 hours. Our stories.
How do I begin?
Our lives. When all seems to fail, we will raise our voices a bit louder for our justice.
I went into absolute shock. My whole body was shaky. I couldn't hold a phone, but there he was. I couldn't believe the nonchalance that they were still in the area 2 weeks later.
And in times when the justice system is not able to help us with our individual battles,
I'm willing to do anything. What are you doing? Nothing. Feeling sorry for yourself? No, it's not an option.
our stories,
How do I begin?
our lives. When all seems to fail, we will raise our voices a bit louder for our justice.
I went into absolute shock. My whole body was shaky. I couldn't hold a phone, but there he was. I couldn't believe the nonchalance that they were still in the area 2 weeks later.
And in times when the justice system is not able to help us with our individual battles,
I'm willing to do anything. What are you doing? Nothing. Feeling sorry for yourself? No, it's not an option.
these are our stories on Cutting Edge Channel 404.
We're shooting a campaign. We're telling genuine stories from real people that have been affected by the SABC. It's also interesting to get the backstory in terms of their dreams to be on screen and eventually getting the pleasure to do that and understanding that they're communicating.
Welcome back. You're still watching Question Time. Now we're now joined by veteran of the ANC, Babu Ntenteni, Bratam.
Thank you very much, and appreciate that you've invited me in the capacity of a veteran to join you.
Yes. Pete was just saying that you must learn Ramaphosa time. What are your feelings? I would imagine mixed emotions, mixed feelings in a way. Here is a man that you have shared moments in history in pursuit of the liberation of this country, and his departure is not the best or the most ideal.
Well, I wouldn't refer to it as mixed emotions.
Yeah.
We are comrades to the extent that we still pursue the same objectives and the same idea.
Yeah.
Once there's a deviation from that, we don't, because that's what brought us together in the first place. So under the circumstances, you are compelled to say it's better you have left, because you have derailed the direction in which the movement and the country was going.
But I'm sure you would have liked one of your own to depart under different circumstances.
Sure, would have liked to depart under different circumstances, and taking into consideration, we don't undermine or downplay the role that the individual has played. But as I've said, at the end of the day, ours has been a commitment to the service of the people, to the service of the country, South Africa, and not to the service of self, and even not for personal glory.
How did you feel, Britain, when JZ said, I have spent many years in this movement. This is the first time I have to say I disagree. I'm not defying, but I disagree with the position taken by the leadership. Is this what you were teaching one another in exile?
No, I think I think here we're talking more semantics. I disagree, but I'm not defying.
Yeah.
What exactly does that mean? You either agree or you disagree, and under the circumstances, once the party or the movement, according to the tradition of the movement, has deployed you in a particular capacity, and when it then takes a decision to redeploy you or to recall you,
yes,
there can't be any qualification. You can't qualify that. I agree, but I am not defying you as a disciplined cadre that has served the movement all these years. You say, I understand, and I will accept the decision of the movement that I have served.
Claude, you are in KZN. Welcome.
Hello, Tepo.
Mpo.
Tepo, Mpo.
Yes, yes, Mpo, yeah.
How are you doing, sir?
I'm well. Thanks for the call, Claude.
Yes. No, Tepo, I just want to articulate a few things here.
Okay.
I'm calling from Ulundi, KZN.
You are in Ulundi?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, Tepo, if can those two men answer the simple question for me.
What is the question?
No.
Yes, I can hear you, Claude.
Okay. Can I ask those two men that they see the African National Congress moving forward because of the leadership that is changing?
Okay. Claude, thanks very much for the call. We are battling with the lines there. Do you see the ANC moving forward because of change of leadership?
Of course, yeah. I honestly think that we have reached a point of no return. We reached a point where the state was decaying and to the extent that it couldn't deliver basic services. You just have to look at what happens at local government level. That it is horrendous, the suffering of people, especially in the poorer areas, the bad services that have been delivered in South Africa. Unemployment, 26-27%. The economy is stagnant. I think all those things show that we have reached a point. If we go any lower than that, we are in real big trouble. Our democracy is in real big trouble. So I think this is a turning point. I think there's a promise in the air. And I think, if you think carefully about the ANC, and I have to apologize for that, there's nobody there. There's nobody that can get the ANC out of this mess. Nobody. I think Ramaphosa is the only person. And he just at the right time stepped up to the plate.
Is it the personality or the policies?
Well, I think it's both. He's a strong man. He's a strong personality. He's been around the block. He's been everywhere in business. He's been in politics for a very long time. He can negotiate. He can use strong arm tactics. He's just showed it over the last few weeks. And much more important, I think, yes, I feel it in the air. There's a lot of people that trust him. I think the ANC has lost the trust of the people to a significant degree. Jacob Zuma has lost the trust of the people completely. And I think there's a sense of expectation that is related to trust. People think and trust that he will, in some other way, he's no messiah, he's not going to solve all the problems overnight, but at least in terms of policy, when we hear what he says, I think there rings a bell that this might just work for us.
As veterans, do you have confidence in CR, and what informs it?
Well, let me first say that we would like to congratulate him on his ascension to the most important position of the president of the ANC. Now, according to our own traditions, I do not want to speak in terms of just the individual.
Correct.
We are speaking here of a leadership. a leadership that includes each and every individual who bring into the table different qualities and different capacities. And those qualities and capacities may not be the same, but they complement each other. So I would like to answer that question. Yes, Cyril Ramaphosa, again, as I'm saying, as an individual, he has certain qualities and certain qualities that has been displayed in the past, both politically and as a business leader. And therefore, yes, with those qualities, but at the end of the day, you don't operate alone as an individual, you operate within the collective. And you may be the best scorer in a team, but if the team doesn't give you the balls, you will not be able to score.
Komoto, you are Nigel.
How are you, Bob?
I'm well, thanks for the call.
I would like to congratulate Mr. Ramaphosa.
All right.
Yeah, and the thing is here, the only way we can move forward is where we can use a unity in place, which is if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So the ANC and the IFP, all the parties should unite and implement the policies and move forward.
Komoto, thanks very much for that view. Piet, kan jy 'n bietjie vra hierso? Hoe gaan die boere regeer?
Well, Paul, if you talk about Buddhas, the whites, I don't know if you talk about farmers or the whites. I think the whites in general, I think, is very optimistic about Cyril Ramaphosa. I don't want to speak on behalf of them, but I think there's a sense of optimism. And I think there's a sense of delight that the nightmare is over. As far as the reign of Jacob Zuma. As far as the farmers are concerned, you must remember that the ANC decided last year that there will be expropriation without compensation, so they might be a lot more hesitant. They don't know what it means. They don't know how it will be operationalized. They hope that Ramaphosa in some other way can qualify what is meant by that, and that in some way it will correspond with what we have in the Constitution as it is. But remember, with it goes the caveat that the Constitution must be changed to make provision for that, because it doesn't make provision for that. So I think farmers in this country might be a little bit more hesitant about the future under Ramaphosa. But I think if you talk about whites in general, I can't decide whether it's a relief that Jacob Zuma is gone, or whether it is a sense of expectation that Ramaphosa will put the country back into a constitutional democracy, because remember, our constitution has been severely impaired over the last 9 years. By the way, if we talk about leadership and the individual here, remember it was the ANC leadership that let us down for 9 years. It's the ANC leadership that denied and refused to do anything about Jacob Zuma, to prevent him from eroding the constitution, to prevent him from undermining the state institutions, to prevent him from undermining the economy. It was the leadership, the collective leadership of the ANC. This thing about collective leadership is what is undermining our constitution. And unfortunately, I think we've reached a point where we need a messiah. We need a very strong person. We need a very strong person to tell this cabinet, the new cabinet and the cabinet that is inherited, that this can't go on. The way that you guys are doing your jobs didn't work for South Africa. It will not work in the future, and I will demand of you to do things differently. Unless we have a very strong leader here, a strong leader that is driven towards the ideals of the Constitution, the compromise of the Constitution, we will be in trouble again. We will be in trouble again. The collective leadership of the ANC has let South Africa down. There is no doubt about that.
May I?
Yep, go ahead.
Offer an opinion insofar as this is concerned. There is no doubt that the leadership in the past has defended President Zuma. But once we speak in terms of a messiah, it means we are now speaking in terms of divine guidance. And we are now speaking in terms of supernatural powers which individuals do not necessarily have. It depends on what team that Cyril Ramaphosa is going to build around him. Now, as a leader who has a vision, who has certain principles, it is the leadership that he brings around him that will tell us whether he will achieve that vision. And that vision is informed by the policies of the ANC. We can't deny that. It's a situation where At the end of the day, if I may make a metaphor, you may be the head of the family in the house, but the day when you decide to buy a new house, you've got to consult other members of the family or the wife and say, can we afford it? Because if you don't, that may create problems for you in the future.
What kind of legacy do you think JZ leaves?
The kind of legacy.
Well, that answers it.
No. You see, Peter. Don't. You see, the point is, what I'm saying, I'm not thinking, because as I said earlier, when you asked the question, I'm not here to defend a comrade for comrade's sake. No, I'm not into that. It's just that I'm thinking. I said earlier that the trajectory of the movement changed. So if we're talking legacy, is it a positive legacy? Is it a negative legacy?
I'm asking you.
No, I'm answering you.
Okay.
Yes. I would say, by and large, it is a negative legacy. That is why the decision has been taken to recall him, precisely because of the negative legacy. You see, when you speak legacy in broad terms, that's why I'm now defining it. I'm saying, is it positive? Is it negative? And I say without equivocation that the legacy of President Zuma is a negative one.
Okay. On that negative note, we come to the end of the show. But that was question time for today. A big thank you to my guest and to you for watching the show. As you may have learned that the former Prime Minister of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Mogoeng Mogoeng, has passed on. We pass our condolences to his family and to all the people of Zimbabwe, in Zimbabwe and in South Africa. Gamba, I included you.